We're back. This is another special episode of the Skalo podcast, your number one podcast show in the country. My name is Washington Sivanda, aka Umar Rasta. Today we're joined by Zifa board member finance Tizirailo Pasha, who's going to take us through what the Zifa Southern region has been up to. The league is running without a sponsor. Today we want to find out what has really happened. Have they failed to lure the corporates to come and support the local football? Mr. Lupasha, it's a good morning and welcome to the Skalo Podcast, episode 21.
Thanks very much for this invite and the opportunity to come and explain to Skalo on the happenings at Zifa Southern region. I appreciate this guest.
Maybe the first question, Mr. Lupasha, will be to understand maybe the paramount responsibility of a board member finance. Because I'm sure Wapongu's top board member finance abalala idea. Maybe if you can take us through what are your responsibilities as the board member finance in the Zifa Southern region?
Well, in the layman's language, board member finance, you're the man who carries the wallet. Or the who carries the side. So basically on a day-to-day part of the operations, we do the cash flow management, we do budgetary controls, where we come up with our expenditure, where we come up with also how to fund that expenditure. We also do trainings for teams, especially on financial issues. We also monitor day-to-day the runnings of the office, especially the secretariat. We monitor the secretariat.
Quite interesting. Then you're delving into the reason why you're actually here. In 2020 and 2021, there was a 2-year break because of the COVID-19 that wreaked havoc. That saw all sporting disciplines are being suspended until the COVID was the COVID had gone down. So as the Zifa Southern region, what are some of the challenges that you faced during that 2-year break, and how did you come up with solutions to conquer those challenges as the region?
Thank you very much for that question. It's actually a problem within our region. As you know, we are not as liquid as we would have loved to be, and the COVID-19 pandemic, it also worsened the situation where organizations who were our partners or sponsors, they shunned us because of the economic hardships which were inflicted by the COVID-19. So I think those are some of the issues which we faced, and also on the players. The players had issues to do with the financial stability, psychological, because of being at home through and through. Some of these players, they actually they are employed full time in soccer. So the 2-year stop in football, it actually affected their well-being, their families. So most of them, they've actually left soccer and they've started doing informal business. Some of them, they are vendors around. And when we started soccer, some of them, they've actually hung up their boots. So those are some of the issues we faced as Southern region when we on the inception or when COVID-19 came on us.
So Mr. Lupasha liaising with us, telling us that as the region, they face quite a lot of challenges, and those challenges have actually seen most players that were playing in the division 1 league, especially in the southern region, many of them are ending up hanging up their boots. And then Mr. Lupasha, looking at, we saw FIFA availing funds that they sent to Zifa, and Zifa also distributed the funds evenly, I will suppose, to all the regions, the southern region, the northern region, and also the central region. How full were those funds that you received from Zifa? And maybe are you in a position maybe to disclose how much the region was given as a disbursement to try and also stabilize things, since you alluded that financially every institution and every company and almost everyone was heavily affected by the COVID-19?
We were affected by this COVID pandemic, and we had a long hand from FIFA to our national association, who also extended that generosity to regions and some other affiliates. As a region, we got 2.1 million ZWL, and we evenly distributed that money to our 18 teams. So each team got about 60,000 ZWL then. And we also hope that the funds which were forwarded to teams was put to good use.
Quite interesting. So the teams received 60,000 RTGs.
True.
Each and every team, all the 18 teams that are in the Zifa Southern region.
All the teams were allotted 60,000.
Oh, so you had for yourselves, each and every team was given 60,000 RTGs as part of the COVID funds that FIFA released. Then, Mr. Lupasha, moving on to another interesting one. We are talking of, let's talk of the affiliation fees. There's been an outcry from the clubs, so many clubs that we have spoken to, and also maybe from the supporters, the people, the followers of football, that the affiliation fees that have been paid for the Division 1 teams, they are too high. What exactly, how exactly did you come up with those figures, and what will be your assessment, what will be your response to those who are saying that the 2,500 that the Division 1 teams are supposed to pay is just too much for those teams, considering that on its own the league doesn't have a sponsor?
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe as a point of correction, our affiliation fee is 2,000, and that was what was pegged when we had our AGM, and we had also pegged in ZWL, which was 168,000 for each team. And when we came up with this figure, it was not a thumb-sum figure, but it was a figure which was arrived after looking at the budget. We looked at our budget, and we also looked at the financing of that expenditure. So, as you know, that we don't have sponsors, so the financing of our expenditure was solely on the teams. Our league is sponsored, or it's run by the members, so it's member run, which means we run our league using the affiliation fees which are paid by the teams. And maybe as a breakdown of our teams, we've got 18 teams in the league, and from those 18 teams, 5 teams paid the total affiliation fee, and 4 teams paid less than the full amount, but just above half, which is 1,000 US. Then we've got 9 teams which have paid varying figures, maybe between half and next to zero. So we've got other teams who haven't paid for the affiliation fees.
So if you're saying with the other teams that haven't paid and there are some that are paying, what was the arrangement with the clubs? How long should it take a club to pay the full amount of the 2,000 USD that you said is the affiliation fee?
No, thank you very much. When we had our AGM and we had the resolution on the payment of the 2,000, and there was an outcry, and we negotiated with teams and we gave them an option to come up with a payment plan or a promise to pay. So we had actually given them up to halfway mark for every team to have paid a full amount. But as you know, our economy does not support sport. So we actually talked to the teams again to say at least each team should have paid half that amount by the time we resume the second part of the league. So, but up to now, as I said, we've got 9 teams who haven't paid significantly towards the affiliation fee, and which is crippling operations in our league.
So are we going to see those 9 teams being chucked out of the region, the league?
I wouldn't say that, but all what I can say is a team which doesn't pay affiliation fee, it has chucked itself from the league. But we've been lenient with the teams looking at the background of our economy. So we are saying, let's play soccer and let's make an effort to pay our affiliation fees. The most painful part is teams are not making an effort to at least reduce their arrears. As I said, we've got teams who haven't paid even a single cent towards affiliation fees. Some teams have paid only $100 towards the affiliation fees. So it has crippled us, and we are insolvent as a league.
So are you going to take action in regards to those? Because I really want to understand, because I've been checking other leagues, and from what I gathered, in the central region, there are only 12 teams that are playing in the Division 1 league. All because the other teams that did not pay, the region said, if you don't pay the affiliation fee, you cannot participate in our league. So that's why I'm very concerned that if you're saying only nine teams have at least paid something, and the other nine haven't paid, are we also going to see the same scenario whereby the Southern Region Division 1, come the end of season, we're going to be having 9 teams?
As I said earlier on, that the moment you don't pay affiliation fees, it means you are not a member of the league and you have chucked yourself out of the league. That's what I can say. I think it's loud and clear.
But now looking at the fact that the league doesn't have a sponsor, it's very difficult. Don't you feel like maybe it would be unfair for you maybe to chuck them out, considering that at the end of the day they're just playing for promotion and there is no motivation or whatever?
A point of correction again, we are not checking, they are checking themselves. Because for a team to be a member of any organization, I think affiliation fee is paramount. So the moment you don't pay affiliation fees, remember we've got so many operations, we've got expenditure which we are supposed to meet as a league. We've got office staff, we've got board meetings, we sometimes follow teams and monitor at match days. So all that, it needs a bit of finance. So when teams don't pay, it means also our operation, and we are not visible on the ground.
So to say that you are only looking at the affiliation fee so that you can be able to run the day-to-day expenditures of the association?
Not really. We are in consultation with some other organizations, some corporates, and we are negotiating for partnerships. We don't call them sponsorships now, because we've realized that the moment you ask for sponsorship from an organization or some sponsorship, it's a bit expensive. So we have actually asked for partners to partner us in certain aspects of running the league. It can be the prize money at the end of the year. It can be rewarding players for outstanding performance. So we might have even 5 or 6 partners in our league, but at the end of the day, it brings out a wholesome sponsorship to the league. So as I had also said, that the COVID-19 pandemic affected our league. So what happened is we had companies who were sponsoring us and we had promised to bring big business to the league, but because of what happened, we all know, and also what is happening now in in Ukraine and Russia, yeah, it has also affected some of these organizations in their day-to-day running. At the end of the day, shunning sponsoring of football.
Today we're joined by Mr. Tizirai Lupasha, board member of finance in the Zifa Southern region. He's telling us that they are in negotiation with potential partners who want to come through and partner the Zifa Southern region in sponsoring the league in terms of maybe the prize money at the end of the year, and also some motivational awards for the players. Then Mr. Lupasha, just to take you back, before the league resumed, of course, there was a lot of uncertainty about the resumption of the local premiership. In terms of the Division 1, we saw the Elite League, the Premier Soccer League, kick-starting. Then there was uncertainty whether the Division 1 is also going to kick-start. Then when it eventually did so, we saw the Waffle Wafer Cup. I'm sure that involved all the 18 teams in the league, teams participating. There was a lot of hype, there was a lot of excitement. Then it just died a natural death. Nothing is being spoken of the final that is supposed to pit Wang and RNL. Maybe if you can take us through that, what's the status on the Waffle Wafer Cup, and when can we expect the final to be played?
No, thank you for that question. I know it's a topical issue with some of the teams and our followers. When we got the nod to start playing football, we just wanted a test run of our league and see the preparedness of the teams. So we came up with a Wafa knockout tournament, which we did, and we hosted successfully. And the final is supposed to be Wange against RNL. But we had a sponsor who was bankrolling that cup. But because of economic hardships, and as I said, because of what is happening in Europe, one of our sponsors who was sponsoring the cup had some difficulties. But mark my words, that cup is going to take place. And maybe I can take this time also to inform you that it will be played in Wange, maybe before the end of the season. The cup hasn't died a natural death. It is still coming.
So it's coming back with a different sponsor now, since you're saying that the one who had initially sponsored it encountered some financial constraints, and they pulled out. So we can actually say that for now we are actually looking for someone who's going to sponsor the final so that it gets to be played.
The initial sponsor made a commitment, but since we are seeing that he is not coming forth, we are also engaging some other sponsors, maybe just to have the cup to pass.
So has that information been communicated to the clubs?
Yeah, we have communicated to them. They are aware. We have communicated to Wange to prepare hosting for the final.
Maybe just for interest sake, maybe to the eventual winners, how much are they likely to get, or how much were they supposed to get from their first sponsor? And was that information also communicated to the clubs before the initial resumption of the cup?
When we started we introduced the cup, we had a launch where all teams were represented, and we had a draw, and rules and regulations for the cup were also forwarded to all the teams. So all the teams are aware of the rules and the prize monies for the tournament.
So Mr. Lupasha are saying that the Waffle Wafer Cup is still there, but ikhona and kanye ngathi zadlalele Wange, but it's Wange versus RNL. Why take it to Wange? Why not play it maybe in a neutral venue so that kungabi la local advantages for the other team? Why not take it to a neutral venue? Why Wange? Maybe for interest sake, why Wange?
If you were following our games, the Wafa Wafa tournament, Wange were always on the road. All their games were played away from home. So we thought as well to give them the nod to host the final in Wangi?
Oh, hayi iwangile inhlanhla madoda bathi ngendlela yadlala ngakhona all the way to the final lokhu idlala away. They've been given that privilege to host the Waffle Wafer Cup. So wait to see whether the Waffle Wafer Cup is going to be played come end of season, just like what Mr. Lupatla is saying. Then Mr. Lupatla, looking at I know before the kickstarting of the league, the Waffle Wafer Cup, you had an AGM meeting that you hosted. What are some of the resolutions that you came up with and some action plans that you came up with in terms of trying to improve the league, the Southern Region League?
Thank you very much. The AGM was held, and we had some resolutions which came out of the financial report, from the chairman's report, and from the competitions desk. And one of the resolutions which were made and the clubs agreed was the affiliation fee. They resolved that the affiliation fee will be pegged at 2,000 USD and 168,000 ZWL. But as you know, things have changed from last year when we had the AGM. Now we are using the bank rate or the interbank rate to convert the USD component. And though it wasn't communicated to the teams, this was an administrative decision which was made, and it will be communicated to the teams come our next AGM, just for their information. And we also had we agreed that teams should come up with compliance officers. Since we were in the COVID-19 era, we needed compliant officers to monitor on the COVID protocols. We also talked about, or we also resolved on clubs registering players online, which is the Zifa Connect. This Zifa Connect, it also assists teams to monitor their players. Unfair transfers, we've heard teams complaining that teams are taking their players without development fees, without transfer fees. It is because these players are not registered with these teams. It is because they don't have contracts with these teams. So we talk to the teams that they should register their players online, and they should also have contracts with their players. The teams were also of the opinion that the testing of players and technical team every week when they go to play was a bit high, and they wanted us to talk to the national office that maybe we have a monthly testing. That was done, and the national office in response said this was a directive from WU down to SRC. So there was nothing much we could have done to move the testing periods for the teams in the technical team. They also talked about the national office had undertaken, they committed to pay match official fees for the teams. But when the season started and with some other development, this did not happen. So those were some of the issues which were discussed, and they wanted us to engage with the national office to find the way forward. For some other teams, had actually budgeted on that.
So in talking of the COVID test, when are the teams expected to? How are they doing the test now in terms of the teams? And are they forking their money from their own pockets, or the association is assisting them in doing those tests? And also talking of the referees, who's responsible for the paying the referees, and how much are the referees being given?
Well, on how much the referees are being given, I think that one is a preserve of the referees committee. We are not aware, but what I know is the teams are paying for the match officials, or for all match day expenses. They are paid by the teams, and I know it's been very heavy on the teams. It's very difficult and very expensive to run a D1 team, especially when you talk of traveling. Our league covers from Victoria Falls to Plumtree and to Felabuse. So that type of traveling for some other teams who are not fully sponsored is quite heavy on them.
Teams that are not fully sponsored in a league that is not fully sponsored. Quite interesting. And because of those financial constraints, we have seen that some other teams have even failed to fulfill matches. And what is the league doing about that? And what's the way forward? Because we are hearing news that Indosagos, they might be pulling out of the league. And what's the status quo in terms of Indosagos, and what is the league saying in regards to that?
Well, the issue of Indosagos, I think it has been on the media, social and the print media, and the good part is they had played the first half of the season, and so when we started the second half of the season, they then indicated that financially, I think they were falling short. So every week there's a team which is on bye because of the withdrawal of Indosagos. So we are saying we are giving 3 points and 3 goals to every team which is supposed to be playing Indosagos from the second half of the league.
So maybe looking at Indosagos, I'm sure it's one of the teams that joined the Zifa Southern region this year. Is there sort of a criteria that you use when teams are coming in to join the league, so that we avoid situations like this, that a team just plays the first half of the season, then the second half they are financially disabled, they are no longer able? What criteria do you use when you are bringing in teams into the league?
Okay, ordinarily teams which comes to this first division or to our Southern Region League, they are teams from the second division. The teams would have been promoted to the first division. And since we had problems with teams having financial issues because of the COVID, we had some slots which were actually, and we had teams who had indicated the interest of participating in our league. So those are the teams which we called and we inducted, and we indicated to them what is expected of them and whether they've got the financial muscle to compete in the league. And all the teams were quite positive that they were going to participate in the league, regardless of the costs which are involved in running, in fulfilling matches.
So we can actually say that for now, all the 17 teams that are remaining, they are guaranteed of 3 points. That in that match that we're supposed to play with Indosagos, since Indosagos, they're saying that they are pulling out of the league.
Absolutely. Every team is assured of 3 points and 3 goals.
Wow. So Indosagos being one of other teams that he has indicated to the Zifa Southern region that they won't be able to continue, and all the teams all the teams are guaranteed of 3 points and 3 goals come the end of the season. Then Mr. Lupahla, coming back to that one of the sponsors, what measures is the league taken to try and lure corporates to come and support the league and brand the league? Because surely, we are almost halfway through the season and nothing is happening. What is the association doing, and what kind of partnership are you looking at so that we can try and lure corporates to come and support the league?
Thank you very much for that question. It's quite difficult, as I indicated earlier on, that corporates are also facing financial crunch, and it's becoming difficult for them to sponsor teams. And the only way we can get sponsorship is maybe to package our league in a professional manner, meaning The teams should also assist us in terms of how they present themselves to the outside world. We are talking of teams with disciplinary issues. Corporates don't want to be associated with issues of discipline. So when we package our league in such a way that it's run professionally, we don't have disciplinary issues, we don't have crowd problems, then we can attract big sponsors. We are behind the scenes talking to some other companies who are skeptic in joining us or partnering us, but they are just having a wait and see attitude of where this economy is going, where this COVID-19 pandemic is leading us to. We hope and trust that next season, something might come up. And in terms of sponsorship, we are looking at, as I said also earlier, that we're not looking for some sponsorship, but we are also looking at partnering organization, whatever they can partner us on, especially on the prize money, on tournaments, on outstanding performance by some of our players and the technical staff. So if that is corrected, I think we can attract sponsors big time. Sponsors don't want to be dragged into disrepute because of their association with Zifa. And I think this is public knowledge. Of late, Zifa hasn't been on the good standing. We've been reading Zifa on a day-to-day because of what is perceived as maladministration. So that's one of the things which is actually making our sponsors shun sponsoring our league.
As well as the Zifa Southern Region, what lessons will you draw from the other leagues? Because looking at the Northern Region, I'm sure they've got 2, if not 3 sponsors. What some of the lessons would you say that the Southern Region is taking from other regions so that you can try and improve your league?
We are learning. We sometimes exchange notes with other regions. We have got an inter-regional meeting which we usually take maybe after quarterly, and we've learned a lot from the Northern Region. I should actually clap hands for them for what they are doing for soccer in Zimbabwe. I think the Northern Region Soccer League is sponsored maybe better than the Premier League itself, yes, if I might say.
And one would wonder and say it's the Northern Region is almost similar to the Southern Region. Why then is the Southern Region failing to lure such sponsorship?
I get you, but as I said, that it all goes down to what we are presenting to the sponsors. The sponsors, they are looking at an organization which is not going to bring them or pull them down into the mud. So those are some of the things, and we are working on that. We're working with our teams on professionalism, and we are also improving our relations with the press so that maybe we can be perceived as a good partner, and we can also attract partners.
Yeah, because interesting, when you are now mentioning the press, I'm sure there is quite a lot when it comes to information dissemination. As it is, us as the press, we are even failing to get the results. We need to call the teams. What is the league doing to make sure that the results are available, the fixtures are available on time, top goal scorers? Such information is very scarce. It's very difficult to get it. If you were to ask anyone now who's the top goal scorer of the Southern Region Division 1, it's not even available on the Southern Region Division 1 page. So how best can you work hand in hand with the press so that such information is available on time?
Thank you. It all goes down to professionalism, as I alluded to earlier on, that on the match day, we struggle to get results even from teams. We communicate. We've got a platform for the team secretaries who are supposed to update and give us results on real time. But sometimes we actually get maybe up to the following day without getting results from these teams. We try to phone them. Some of them, they don't even pick our phones. I don't know, maybe it's the type of administrators they've got in these teams, because I think as a league, as you said, we should be getting results to the media immediately after the game, so that, especially on the print media, the deadline for submission, maybe let's say it's 7 o'clock in the evening. But when you get the results the following day, it defeats the whole purpose of the reporting on the league. So we are working on that and conscientizing the teams to support us, to support the media, and submit results real time.
So Mr. Lupahla is here, he's telling us that the league is doing whatever it takes to make sure that the southern region also stands out and be counted as one of the best run local leagues. Then Mr. Lupahla, to wind it off, I'm sure we've discussed, and there is still a lot that we need to talk of. Talking of the Junior League, we saw it resuming a little bit later. What was the cause, and what's the status quo of the Junior League? And interesting, just recently we've been reading in the press that Kiona TV wants to start a junior league. Don't you feel like that is also going to give you competition as the Zifa Southern Region League? Because I hear that the affiliation fees are a little bit lower than what the Zifa Southern Region is asking for.
Thank you very much. On the resumption of the junior league, the junior league is a preserve of the province. They don't report to the region. The region is only, we only take care of the first division league. So I think that one, Mr. Ntuta, the chairman for the province, he will be able to answer that question.
All right, maybe just to wind it off, so what would you assure the followers of the Zifa Southern Region? Because I'm sure of late we've seen a lot of interest in terms of the league, something that we've not seen of late, and people, they're coming in numbers, and that really shows that the league is growing. What would you want to assure the people that love football, that have been going to support football, be it in Kwaanda or be it in Filabusi, be it in Binga? What assurances would you want to give those people that love football in terms of how we are going to run the league and how we are going to improve it?
Thank you very much. The league has been running, and I think we're now going into our game, match 21, match 22 thereof. And from what we've realized, of what we've noticed from when we started, as you said as well, that there is too much competition, and it's exciting. And we also promise our followers that we'll keep on improving the league and get it to a level where some of our teams, when they are promoted into the Premier League, they don't come back the following year. We've had issues of some of our teams who go in one year, the other year they are back in our league. So we are saying we are also inducting some of our teams on how to run their teams to be professional, so that they improve and stay long in the Premier League. And we also hope that from the engagements which we had or which we are having with some other leagues, we are going to improve our league and have sponsors coming to assist us run the league. And also this will reduce the affiliation fees for the teams.
So Mr. Lupahla was here joining us today in the episode 21 of the Scalo podcast. We talked a lot. We spoke of the issue of the affiliation fees. We spoke of the league not having the sponsor. And we also spoke about how the league can be improved so that the Zifa Southern Region can also stand out to be one of the leagues that people can actually go and watch. Mr. Lupahla, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure we had a lot to ufundisa uxoxe singaxoxela ngalize liyephela, but thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully whatever you shared today is going to shed more insight, and people out there, they've really understood what's really happening in terms of the Zifa Southern region.
Thanks for having us here and to explain what's been happening at Zifa, and we hope to come back on your invitation, maybe to come and explain some other issues which people might need to know, because we know there's a lot of misinformation out there on the league, and coming to a platform like this, at least it explains what's been happening and the doubts which people have on the league. I thank you.
And then maybe last, I forgot to ask, we have seen the John Landangomo. Is it also going to be played, the John Landangomo Cup, is it going to be played this year around? We have seen it has been played for the past 2 seasons. Is it going to be played this season?
Yeah, we are currently negotiating with the sponsor whether he's going to bankroll us this year, but it's our wish to have it this year as well.
So that was Mr. Lupahla giving assurance that the Zifa Southern region is in negotiation with the John Landangomo sponsors so that we can have that tournament back. Remember, ZPC Wange are the defending champions after they beat Talent Vision by 1-0 in the last final. So wait to see whether the Waffle Wafer Cup is also going to be played. It's going to be pitting Wange and RNL. And just like what Mr. Lupahla said, the final is going to be played in Wange. Wange getting that privilege. So the Zifa Southern region is hitting week 21 this weekend, but Aila sponsor. So corporates out there, if you can, come through and support local football. Because if you are supporting local football, it means that we are supporting the community, and we are making the lives of our youngsters better. This has been the 21st episode of the Qalo podcast. My name is Washington Sivanda, aka Umar Rasta. Today we're joined by board member financer for the Zifa Southern region, Mr. Tizirai Lupahla. From me, Mr. Tizirai Lupahla, the Qalo Pictures team, and also our partners at Ketas Red Soul and also Makeup Zone Zimbabwe. We say peace.